his outstanding service to Columbia County. With your love for the outdoors and being an outdoorsman background and a farm guy, I'm sure that working with animal services and the animals is real dear to your heart. And so could you fill us in, or Miss Linda, could you fill us in on why he was nominated for this? Okay. Josh, would you fill us in?
Yes, sir. So you're all aware, Emory was out actually handling another call when another department and their employees notified him that there was a bird stuck on a light pole. And come to find out, that bird is actually a protected species, falcon osprey. Yeah, I almost got it right. It was protected species down here. And so Emory took it upon himself with that other employee to actually climb into a bucket truck, go up there. Dollars that we've kind of obtained working with these animals, he was able to actually release it, and there was a nest not too far from there. So our ultimate hope is that it went back and was able to go back to its own nest.
Emory, we thank you for that. And would you like to add anything?
Terrified of heights. That was a struggle for me.
Well, I understand, but we appreciate it, and we appreciate your service, along with being nominated or receiving the award. You'll receive a day off with pay and $100 with tax taken out and your name on the plaque over there. So, thank you.
We have a lady that has requested to speak concerning clear cutting. Marlena Bergeron, come forward, please.
Commissioners, thank you so much for having these meetings, the public. We appreciate the public access, and I also want to commend you on the drafting of the major site grading ordinance. I understand that is up for debate for tonight. Is that correct?
Minor tweaks to it. The ordinance has been passed already.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I think it's wonderful. And I think it's a great first step. I also feel like we could do more. And while I enjoy these meetings very much and just coming and listening and learning on what's going on, I felt like I wanted to take a small opportunity to go on record and express some of my concerns, my growing concerns of me and some of our friends, that maybe we need to do more to balance construction efforts with our efforts to promote, protect, and preserve the county's natural beauty. To say trees, I have no problem if you want to call me a tree hugger, that's just fine with me. I also like vegetables and reading books. But I am here as a property owner. When we first moved to the area in 2013, I couldn't get that Jim Croce song, the I Got a Name, out of my head, because every time we turned, we were driving down majestic pine trees lining the winding road. While we could have settled in Richmond or Aiken County, we chose Columbia County because it was close enough to the action and it still had trees. We invested $500,000 on a 4-acre piece of property, and we have come to appreciate today that the value and lush character of our area rests in the balance of formal and social contracts being honored. Those are the contracts between property owners, developers, and county planners to maintain the trees. An extension of Ecclesiastes might be, there's a time to plant and a time to prune, but now is not the time for excessive clear cutting. It's human nature to take something for granted that we have an abundance of, and it is only when it is in limited supply do we start to treasure it. I grew up in and around the Chicago area, and we were lucky to have some trees in the yard and along the street, but if you wanted to see a forest, you had to go to a forest preserve. Here, it was like living in an arboretum. I had no idea, though, how much wooded area was up for sale or had been already slated for construction. And some of us sometimes feel a little sucker punched whenever large swaths of mature trees are removed. In some places, not all, now that I've seen a lot more postings, but in some it has felt like parcels of woodlands were cleared without any expectations or explanations or posted time frames. With this ordinance's approval, approval procedures and the design requirements will help keep all of us in the know. We understand the efficiency and economic arguments behind clear-cutting decisions, but short-term gains of individuals shouldn't compromise the long-term interests and investments of everyone else. I'm here as a member of the Uchee Creek Greenway Steering Committee, a project that has been knocked around for over 10 years. We are about to invest millions of public and private dollars to get that in this multi-use trail on the ground. Please support the general obligation bond, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. We encourage, and we hope this multi-use trail will encourage safe cycling and pedestrian transit, exercise, recreation, and opportunities for us to connect and explore nature like never before. I want to make sure that there are still green tree canopies in place along all parts of the Greenway. I am here as a mom who likes to play outside with her son, especially when we live in such a safe and beautiful place with a mild climate. Some other moms agree with me, and we, as some moms, want to sustain outdoor, meaningful experiences. This is for our kids whenever and wherever we can, because we know that nothing inside can replace or replicate the full sensory experience of regular outdoor enrichment. Tree shade, the right layering, and a few squirts of bug spray make it possible to play outside here almost year-round. The more trees removed, the smaller that window becomes. I feel like we owe it to the world to protect this corner of it. Across the planet, communities with less affluence are making far greater personal sacrifices in trying to save or rejuvenate their trees. A town in India just set a world record by planting 50 million trees. Big cities, like the one I'm from, are planting trees and rooftop gardens in a frenzy to bring nature back in. Sometimes it seems like Columbia County is in a frenzy going the opposite direction. We have what everyone else wants, established trees and thick woodlands. It is not like this everywhere. And I don't feel like we have the luxury, given changing climate realities, to follow the linear trajectory of past overdeveloped subdivisions. And why would we want to? Let's build something smarter and keep the trees. If anyone thinks it's government overreach to require developers and property owners to preserve as much natural integrity as possible, consider Alaska, where I lived for a year, and is very culturally conservative and ruggedly individualistic, but upholds a very stringent set of building standards. They have 10,000 times the acreage that we do, but people care about their land, and conservation efforts are a part of the culture. I feel like we owe it to each other to do better. Some people might say clear cutting was bound to happen. That's just progress. Well, I don't know if that's progress in 2016. Some people think it's naive and impractical to put preservation efforts above income opportunities. But let's take a moment to remember those rugged Americans in our history who did not subscribe to that philosophy. It is because of them our National Park Service was founded 100 years ago, and we will celebrate its centennial this August 25th. I don't know where they've been hiding all this time, but it's time to bring out your inner Teddy Roosevelts and start fighting to preserve, protect, and promote the charming beauty of our natural landscape, from the lake to the river and everything in between. This adds value today and a priceless legacy for generations to come. I think it's a great way to foster pride and bond as a community for us to come together for a cause that's bigger than all of us, literally and figuratively, the trees. And if anyone questions financial impacts, just remember how many people are out there like us who bought here because of the trees. Consider how clearing causes our electric and gas bills to go up.
Ms. Bargeron?
Yes.
You're way over your 5 minutes.
Oh, boy.
Wrap up.
Okay, sure. I will just say that we have in front of us an opportunity to avoid a vicious cycle. The vicious cycle of cutting down trees, having to resort to more air conditioning, more idling cars, and we don't have the trees to absorb that carbon dioxide or give us the shade. And this tragedy will be on our watch. I feel like it's our job to also look out for the elderly, the young, and the poor, who will be most vulnerable in these kind of times. So in this day and age, a cell phone is old after 2 years. A home that's 20 years old is considered dated. But a 30-year-old tree is still in style, and a 50-year-old tree is worthy of our reverence. It takes time to grow a tree. It takes time to grow a forest. And for all our wealth and our opportunities and prosperity, we cannot buy back time. So I'll wrap it up, and I have some recommendations that I will forward to all of you. But I also want to mention how lucky I feel to live here and that I have the capacity to care about these things, because for most people, they don't have time. They don't have time to come to these meetings. They don't have time to care. And many people can't afford to care. I guess I see this as an extension of my faith, that we should see God in nature. And if we consider ourselves good Christians, then that includes being good stewards of God's beautiful creation. From everyone who has been trusted with much, much more will be asked. So for all our constructions and all our assets to the county, there's a good chance that decades from now, our legacy, our best investment for local residents will be not just what we developed for them, but what we preserved for them. Thank you so much for your time. And if that's all right, I'll forward some of my suggestions on. I just have one small edit on the page 3, the purpose item 5 of the ordinance. If we could add the language at the end of it, it says, encourage efficient use of land for preservation of sensitive environmental and cultural resources, such as open space areas, waterways, wetlands, topographic features, and can we add diverse, mature tree canopies? I feel like if we can say it, then we have a better chance of saving it. Thank you all so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barton.
We do have a request from Mr. DeVette to speak, but we're going to delay that till we take up that item on the agenda, so it'll all be fresh there. Then we go down to our consent agenda. You know the change of eliminating one item on that. These are items that's been through the necessary committee and received the 3 votes to be put on consent. We'll take a motion at this time to approve all of these items as one vote.
So moved.
I do have a question.
Let's see if we get a second, and we'll.
Second.
Okay.
This last item, H3I, name easement serving tax map 6, parcel 186. What is he on exactly?
I believe that was a private road requested to be named by the owners of the property. Mary, is that correct? That's correct. It's a request from the property owners to name that private.
Linda Webb and Susan Alvarez.
Thank you.
Okay. We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay. Now to our debate agenda, and let me make sure I'm on the right point here. I believe we go to Commissioner Richardson for the first item.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the second and final reading of Resolution 16-1245, permit application for Advance.
Second.
Any further discussion of this second and final reading? All in favor? Okay. Mr. Morris?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion to approve the second and final reading of the ordinance 16-24, revision of Chapter 86, Article 3, water conservation. 20.
I second.
And I guess, again, this is just coming in compliance with the state directive. All in favor? Okay. Commissioner Duncan?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the purchase of 2 T370 dump trucks, case CX80C excavator, LP573 STD excavator, mulch head for C145S, and a Lampmore Street sweeper for stormwater that has been approved in the full year 16-17 budget in the amount of $370,210. Fiscal year, sorry, I said.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay. Vice Chair Allen?
Yes, sir. I would like to make a motion to approve the request to rezone 4396 Lambkin Drive from R2 to 1.
Second.
Any discussion? In favor?
I would like to make a motion to approve the request to rezone 5107 White Oak Road from RA to C2 and RA and C2 to S1 with conditional use for religious and civic use, subject to the conditions enumerated in the August 4, 2016 Planning Commission report.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? This item?
I make a motion to approve the first reading of Resolution 16-1248, amending the fee schedule for development services, engineering services, and planning services.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion of this item? Doctor, give us a quick down of that.
Yes, these are the modifications we made. There was a change in the fee for a development plan resubmittal. It was a 50% of the original fee. We put a cap of $1,000 on that.
Okay.
Put a development plan revision, so this is prior, during construction. If a plan needs to be revised, there's a $250 fee for staff to revise that. It also changed the follow-up compliance review fees. That was an escalating fee, 50 or 25, 50, 100. It's now flat 50 every time, so no escalation there. And also a change to the fire marshal fees. I believe that's a flat fee as well. It was an escalating fee there. And so we made that a flat fee as well. I believe that's all of them.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion? All in favor?
I would like to make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance number 16-25, amending Chapter 24, Environment, Article 1, Grading, Section 34-1, Major Site Grading.
Second.
Give us a little rundown on that, since we've had a discussion on mass grading already.
Yeah, so this one, basically the ordinance set out standards that were required to be met if you wanted to mass grade, but it also required a public hearing. We felt if you meet the requirements, you're not required to have the public hearing, so that was changed. Also pulled out commercial sites from having to go through that public hearing as well. I believe that was all of them, Andrew, is that correct? I'll make sure I'm giving you everything.
Any further discussion of these changes?
I'd just like to compliment staff for working with the Builders Association. I know this ordinance and the one before, they worked hand in hand to come to an agreement, and both of them are good changes.
We're comfortable with the compromise here. I think it was in the best interest to do it this way. We looked at this long and hard, so I think we're comfortable.
Well, it's one of those that nobody leaves happy, so it must be good.
Mr. Morris, did you?
Was this the issue Ms. Bargeron was addressing?
This is the ordinance, yes, sir. This is the ordinance we amended 2 months ago that added the buffers if you're going to mass grade, required the green space.
I just wanted to agree with what Commissioner Duncan was saying and Barry Johnson. I think it's a great compromise. For those that aren't familiar, the program outlines a wonderful 40-foot buffer, trees around the perimeter of these new developments, as well as landscaping on the street. I mean, I think it's a good program, and as long as they follow those guidelines, I think that we'll see very nice property and developments coming up in our county.
Other comments or discussion? All in favor? Mr. Allen, before you proceed, I would like to break this next one up into two different motions. Let's do the item concerning the Riverwatch Parkway and then take up the Old Evans Road as a separate issue.
Enough with me, sir.
Okay?
Acceptable? All right. I would like to make a motion to approve renaming former sections of Old Evans Road and Old Petersburg Road, as well as newly constructed areas, to Riverwatch Parkway.
Second.
Motion and a second. This is to make a contiguous route all the way from Evans into downtown Augusta once Riverwatch is complete.
It's my understanding that it will really help with first responders, take some of that confusion out of different names for different sections of roads, adds to the ability to respond in a timely manner for our.
Address that anymore?
Yeah, it's the current layout. You would change from Riverwatch to Old Petersburg to Old Evans back to Riverwatch, and you never would change. Driving down the road. So it's definitely going to clear it up for first responders when they say Riverwatch. You know the section of road we're talking about versus Old Petersburg being one section of the new proposed road, and Old Evans being another section of the proposed road, and Riverwatch being another section. So this will definitely clear it up for first responders. Any
Any further discussion? All in favor? This next item is one that we've had a lot of discussion, and we have, excuse me, a gentleman here that would like to speak on this item, Mr. Joe DeVette. This is concerning the small section of Old Evans Road. It will now be from the red light there at Lowe's at Pizza Joint down to where there's a turnaround near the railroad tracks. This is the one section of the road that remains without a name. We have one
I've
set.
seen it already. Yeah, you can hang on to it.
Mr. DeVette, give us your name and address too, please, sir.
All right, my name's Joe DeVette. I'm the grandson of Mr. Roundtree, who had the store right here in Evans. I'm here representing the family. Originally, the store was at the far end of Old Evans Road, which is cut off now at the railroad tracks. It had a dirt floor. That was right beside the old Evans Depot and the cotton gin. So, and that was great-grandfather's store. About 45, 46, it moved to its location where Old Evans used to tie into Washington Road. And so it's been part of this area for a long time. Family would love to see grandfather's honored by renaming the road, Roundtree Way or Hugh Roundtree. We'd be real proud if you consider that.
What was that middle name, Mr. DeVete? That Q, any idea?
It's Quentin, William Quentin Roundtree. But as you can see, this picture is probably 1945, 46. That's the old Evans High School that burned down probably late 40s. And it was part of the community then when there was really nothing there. But now that same area is Lowe's parking lot.
Yeah.
Once again, that is spelled how, sir?
Excuse me?
How is it spelled again?
It's Rountre.
There is no D.
No D.
There's no D.
Any questions of Mr. DeVette?
No, sir. Appreciate you coming forward.
Yeah, thank you for making that.
Thank you.
We'll discuss this a little bit here.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Howard, before we get too far, is that name available in the blank names?
As far as GIS is concerned, is lane or way or drive, any of those better than the other? Was there a recommendation from staff? Right. Right. Joe, you said way. Is that?
Or way or lane? Way.
You know, we've talked about naming things after people a good many times, and we've shied away on a lot of occasions for various reasons because the requests never end to name something after a family member or someone that's been really, prominent in the community. But what's your thoughts?
To me, I feel like it is named after someone, but I remember when I first moved to Evans that the old building being there and all, and it's just a historic site is the way I look at it more so. I know the family looks at it as honoring their grandfather and all, but I'm thinking of the historic site there.
The only person that contacted me about this called and we talked about it, and I remember the story. And Mark.
I was frankly leaning toward Cross's Folly or Crossway.
You can't do cross and folly. It's got to be plural. Cross follies. You don't get valid as one.
But I was moved, so I won't make the recommendation that we name it Cross's Folly.
I think especially knowing, thank you for that extra bit of information, Ms. Howard, that there was formerly a Roundtree Court. That is no longer on the books. Opportunity to recompense.
It is your motion, Mr. Allen.
In that case, I will make the motion to name the northern non-contiguous section of Old Evans Road, WQ Roundtree Way. With the, actually,
Second, I'll second.
Ms. Howard, I'm sorry, I made that motion. Do you prefer, does staff have a feeling about the beginning initials? Is there a preference of those two, the WQ Roundtree or just Roundtree?
I would agree.
Okay.
If we
All right.
could.
W could think somebody
throw.
thinks west.
Could throw things off in a search engine as well, so it would probably be best just to have Roundtree.
Roundtree Way.
So I would like to amend my motion to just make it Roundtree Way.
We have a second to the amendment.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Thank you all for coming in.
That was easy.
I believe I have a legal matter. Mr. Driver, do we need an explanation of this, or should we go straight to the motion?
I think
We've got some visitors here that have worked with us on this. They might want to have a word on it.
Okay.
Andrew Tritt and John Pinnell. So we'll start with Andrew.
Welcome, gentlemen.
It's a pleasure to be here. I've served as the county placement agent on this bond refinancing. John has served as bond counsel to the issue. What you have before you is two refinancings. Refinancing the 2007A bond, 2007B bond. The Series A bond carries interest rates between 4.25%. Right now, what's before you tonight is to reduce that interest rate to 1.8%. What that would do is create $1.2 million debt service savings to the county. The second bond is the Series 2007B bond. Currently has an interest rate of 5%. Would propose to lower that to 1.08%. That creates about $500,000. Total, that's $1.7 million of savings over the course of time. The reason that these rates differ a little bit is bond goes out. One ends in 2019. I would note that working with staff, we've structured this bond that if you have any desire to pay that off early, so in whole or in part, beginning. So that flexibility is built into the rate from the attractions to private way versus a public offering. But that is what is before you tonight from an economic. I'll let John weigh in.
Sure, good evening. The commission at y'all's July 19th meeting approved a bond resolution with upset rates and upset principal amount. We've actually gone through the bond validation process now. Your attorney, Chris, handled that last week. And so the bonds have been validated. So this is purely to now lock in the rates that Andrew's just described. So we have a supplemental bond resolution for you tonight that we need you to take action on in order to then close on this refinancing.
Mr. Driver, Mr. Johnson, are you satisfied with these arrangements?
I am, Mr. Chairman. I just want to reiterate what Chris said about how much we appreciate the work. This was a deal that we've been working on for quite some time. Anytime you can refinance some outstanding debt from the 4% and 5% interest rate down to 1%, that's pretty amazing. And to save the taxpayers $1.7 million is pretty amazing as well. We do have intentions of paying these bonds off early, so we've been working really hard to make sure we structure the deal to make sure that we could still do that. So I commend Andrew for doing that, and also John Pinnell and his firm in Savannah has done an outstanding job as being our bond counsel on this and working with the whole firm. So it's really been a team effort, but at the end of the day, the taxpayers win, and that's what we're most comfortable with. So I think it's a good deal. Would recommend your approval.
Mr. Duncan, you have a motion?
Yes, sir, I do. I make a motion to approve resolution number 16-1249, supplemental bond resolution.
Second.
Do we have any commissioner comments or questions?
So this is what was put forth in the last SPLOST.
No, sir, this is the last GO bond that the county did. This was the standalone 2007 GO bond, and we are nearing the end of the term of that, so it would be callable in 19 that we could pay that off. But it was amortized a little farther than that, but the rates were a lot different in 2007 than they are today.
Now, there is some money in the 1722 SPLOST to reduce that debt also, isn't there?
Yes, sir, there is. So the commission did vote, well, actually, the citizens voted. We put it on the ballot, and the citizens did vote to set aside a significant amount of money, a little north of $20 million, to pay off some of this existing debt. So we've been able to actually, the commission, the last several years, was able to reduce the millage rate, actually reduced it 4 times, and that came off the debt service piece because we were using the sales tax revenues to be able to help pay for that. So anybody that bought anything at a store in Columbia County was help paying that debt instead of putting it on the back of the property owners in the county.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That was my question.
I'm sorry.
I just didn't know how to say it.
Yes, sir, I'm sorry.
Okay. Any other comments?
Do you guys do home refi?
At 1%?
At 1%?
No other questions? All in favor?
I would hope people would clap because we just saved the taxpayers $1.7 million. I mean, they clapped and renaming the road. So.
Do you have any additional requests to speak, Ms. Crawley? We do have a couple of items pertaining to personnel and property. Mr. Allen?
Yes, sir. I would like to make a motion to approve the pay grade change for Charlene Sharkey from a grade 19 to a grade 23 with no change in salary.
Motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
I believe this is a result of our salary study and information.
This was just part of a restructuring, and the pay grade got changed as part of a larger restructuring and should not have. There is no change in salary here. We're just putting the pay grade back where it was.
Other discussion? All in favor? Next item.
Yes, sir. I make a motion to approve $15,500 to Fernanda de Laurentiis y Lagunas and Nino de Laurentiis y Lagunas for right-of-way, permanent easements, and temporary construction easements for roadway improvements on the Washington Road widening project.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, sir. I think we deserve to give him a round of applause for announcing it.
I was on the verge of asking Mr. Wilder in the back to come up here and read that one for me.
How do you know he did it right?
Sounded good to me.
I was thankful I didn't have to read it. Holy cow.
We needed Lee Anderson here for that.
Oh.
Didn't we, Scott?
Yes, sir.
All in favor?
Oh, gosh.
Is there any other business to come before this meeting of the commission?
No, sir.
Has anybody decided we need to be doing something else?
I'd like to make a motion that we do something else, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Would you like to state what something else is?
I got to go home and feed my goats.
Always going to the bars, huh? All in favor?
Are we voting on going home and feeding his goats?
No, we're voting on doing something else.
Okay, all right.
I will be.
All in favor? We are adjourned.
What a zoo.
All right, I guess it's